The way FileMaker Pro calculations handle yes-no and true-false decisions is interesting, and it will really help you if you understand it. Every time you use any function or script step that compares two values or tests in any other way, you're actually using the simplest form of logic that leads to one of two possible outcomes: a yes or a no, a true or a false, a pass or a fail, and so on. So, if you like, it's binary in the sense that there are only two ways it can go. But in fact, this particular kind of decision point is what's termed Boolean logic. In FileMaker Pro, Boolean logic works in a rather neat way. It's pretty straightforward once you understand the basic rules. In fact, if you look at the specify calculation dialog that appears when you're entering the parameter for an if step in a FileMaker script, there's an important clue. As you can see, along the bottom of the dialog, there's some text that says calculation result must be Boolean, and then a little way over to the right it says non-zero values are true, zero and empty values are false. So what does that mean? Well, quite simply, any expression that is being treated as a test, such as the expression you might enter into this dialog to provide the condition for an if step, a result with a numeric value, positive or negative, is regarded as a true result or a yes, whereas a result with a numeric value that's equal to zero, which includes an empty value, is regarded as a false result or a no. Typically, FileMaker just returns a 1 for yes and a 0 for no. And any calculation expression or field or variable you may think of that will return a 1, if used as a test, will return as true. Whereas any expression you use as a test that returns either an empty result, which is sometimes also referred to as a null, or a 0 result, will read as false. Once you understand this simple rule of the process, 1 or any other number is true, 0 or no value at all is false, then you're well on your way to understanding and using Boolean logic in FileMaker. Let's try out a few examples so you can see what I mean. I have a new record here in the calculation worksheet that we used in a previous lesson. First of all, let me try something simple and obvious. So I'll enter a test, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Press the Enter key, and you can see that FileMaker has produced the result of 1, confirming that the test returned a true result. 2 plus 2 does indeed equal 4. If I duplicate the record but edit the expression to 2 plus 2 equals 5, the calc result is 0, indicating that the test failed. 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. Any other test you can think of works the same way. 7 is greater than 6. That's true. 7 is less than 6. That's false. A 1 for true, a 0 for false. It works the same way if the test references a field. For example, serial number equals 24. And this is indeed the 24th record. That's true. If I duplicate the record, it's now false because the serial number on this record is 25. In fact, FileMaker includes a couple of reserved words: true, which evaluates as 1, the Boolean version of true, and false, which evaluates as 0. FileMaker also includes a useful function called getAsBoolean. Any expression that you pass in to the function will be evaluated to determine whether it's true or false, and a 1 or a 0 will be returned accordingly. If I pass in an empty text literal, that translates to a false result and a 0 is returned. If I enter a numeric value, that is a non-zero value, say minus 56, that returns true. A 1 is the calc result. Of course, a positive integer value will also return true. And any expression, such as 76 times 340, which will return an integer value, resolves as true. Whereas 76 minus 75 minus 1 returns a false value, or a 0. Next, let's take a look at an expression that we examined earlier, an if function with a test, a result if true, and a result if false. In this case, the test, serial number equals 30, returns true, because here, as you can see, the serial number is 30, so the calc returns hello. If we enter true in as the test, hello is still returned, because it's the result if true for this expression. If I enter false in as the test, goodbye is returned, because it's the result if false. Similarly, if I enter getAsBoolean With a null text literal supplied at its parameter, that will produce a false result, and again, goodbye, the result if false, will be returned. As you can see, various kinds of tests all work the same way behind the scenes. They're all reduced to a 0 or a 1 to provide the required branching logic for a decision, whether for applying conditional formatting, branching at an if step in a script, or applying a logical decision point in any calculation expression that depends on a test. In fact, anywhere that Boolean logic is used in FileMaker, these same principles apply in the same way.